Chasing that money, living for the thrill, aiming for the top, gotta make a kill. Street smart, no room for the weak. Cross us once, you'll feel the heat. Taking what we want, we don't ask for permission. Running with the wolves, a dangerous coalition. Living on the edge, no time for hesitation. Heal shit podcast, where the bad boys reign, never following the norm, always causing pain. Running this city, ain't nobody in the way. We're the kings of the night, here to stay.
Viewer discretion time.
Viewer discretion is advised.
What up, heel faction? Welcome back to Heel Shit. Why do we call it that? Because bad guys do heel shit. I'm Dark Cordz, that's Draven Grimes, and Draven, will you introduce this gentleman, please?
There's only one true way to do this. Sorry for the trademark infringement. Ladies and gentlemen, he hails from Green Bay, Wisconsin, Mr. We're going Anderson tonight. Mr. Anderson is in the building tonight.
How you doing, man?
What's up, guys?
Oh, doing good, brother. Doing good. How you been?
Fantastic.
We appreciate you joining us.
Mm-hmm.
How was your Father's Day?
It was great. My wife kind of surprised me and took me and the kids to go do a VR thing. The Sandbox VR.
Okay.
I think it's a franchise thing where they're all around the country. We did Squid Game, so we actually got to do the glass bridge and stuff like that. I did horribly, but I had fun doing
it.
All good. All good.
How about you guys? Are you guys
parents?
You guys fathers? You have kids?
Say that again?
Do you guys have kids?
Oh
yeah, we both do. We both. I've got 2 daughters, and Draven's got 2 sons and a daughter.
You guys have a good Father's Day?
That was good.
Yeah, I generally like to sit on the couch on Father's Day. So they went and saw their grandfather for the first half of the day and let me relax, and then came back and we had our thing. So yeah, it was a nice time.
And we just spent the day at the lake, so it was all good.
Good to hear.
All right.
Very good.
So typically when we bring people on for interviews and stuff, I don't try to ask the questions that's been asked 1,000 times. Like, how'd you get the gimmick? What's the reason behind the name of your finisher? It's stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I kind of want to know more of Ken Anderson, the person, more than the worker. So my first question is, when everything's off, who was Ken Anderson behind the curtain? What grounded you through the chaos of all the backstage bullshit?
I am on screen. I am a bold persona. I have a bold persona. I talk a lot. I like to talk. I do not like to speak when the cameras aren't rolling. I'm pretty quiet. You know, you said that you like to sit on the couch. That's my. If you ask me what I want to do, that's my go-to.
Right.
Just chilling.
That's it. That's it.
I will say, it's like when the pandemic hit, I didn't leave the house for 3 weeks. I enjoy being with my family and just relaxing and doing things. Like we enjoy playing video games. We're always looking at what's the next video game coming out. Any good movies, stuff like that. So
what games are you currently playing?
We just finished, and this is we literally just finished God of War Ragnarok. We went back It's a game that I have been meaning to play for years. It's been out for a couple of years now, right?
Yeah.
And one of those things that like we would get a third of the way through the game and then something else would come out. So I'd jump on that and then I'd try to jump back in. And then I'd be like, well, I don't remember what the story is. I don't remember what the controls are. So let's start it over again. And I'd restart it. And then the same thing it just repeated for years. So we just finally did that. My wife and I, before I jumped on here, we're just looking for another, like a new game that's come out. We started Expedition 33, but I really am really, I played maybe an hour of it so far. Do you guys have any, are you guys gamers?
Yeah. Dark over here more or
Yeah.
less plays the Yakuza.
I love the Yakuza games. I don't know if you're familiar with those, the Yakuza and the Gaiden games that came later, but they're phenomenal.
Are they good? Because those are some games that like I've hovered over a few times, but I never pulled the trigger on it.
I mean, you can get if you have that Xbox Live or I imagine a PlayStation Live,
Plus.
PlayStation
both.
Plus, you can get you can almost get all of them for next to nothing, and you
Yeah.
can play them 1 through 8. Well, 9 now. You can just
9.
play them all straight, and I think I played every one of them 2 or 3 times.
What kind of a play style is it? Is it more like GTA or?
It's kind of, yeah. It's a third-person fighting game.
It's kind of a mixture of the Devil May Cry
Crackdown.
format, at least the older Devil May Cry formats, but
Okay.
it's a lot more stiff, if that makes sense. Like it's not as fluent as you would want, but the story really makes up for the gameplay, at least in the earlier games.
Yeah, I enjoy the gameplay, so it's just what you're interested in. I think there are a couple of those games that are absolutely perfect. Like there's nothing that I would do better on some of the on a couple of them. Of course, most things have their most things have their ups and downs depending on who wants to play them.
Right.
Yeah, right.
But I love the series. Like I'm thinking about going and starting them again.
Right.
Wow. You know, there's something you brought up something that like the story's great. You said the story was great. For me, like every once in a while I'll play a game and the story will grab me. But for the most part, I want to have both things, but I don't want to sit and watch cutscenes for fucking.
Yeah.
I feel like God of War towards the end, we were literally, my wife and I would pass the controller back and forth to each other. She would watch a 20-minute cutscene and then she would hand it to me and I would like walk for a couple minutes and then just right into another cutscene. It's crazy. I hate stuff like that.
Yeah, especially if you get to the Valhalla post-game stuff.
I want to actually play.
Yeah. And for me, I'm the same way. So I tend to try to stick with games that have a good amount of story, but they're not really based in the cutscenes. Great example, Cyberpunk 2077. I've logged in no less than 2,100 hours since it came out.
Damn.
And I've yet
crazy.
to put it down. It's that good.
Wow.
I've downloaded the Yakuza games. I just can't get into them. I've beaten both the God of Wars. I just downloaded Red Dead 2 for the first time because my son's been begging me to do that.
Yeah.
And I can't put that down long enough to start another game. And I've been playing this going on like 4 years now.
Wow. Red Dead 2 is something that there's another one that I keep trying to play it. And I can't get it's a 2-hour play-in, it's a 2-hour buy-in when you first sit down and start playing the game. Like I just want to play.
Right. No, I understand that. That's kind of why I've always stayed away from like the Grand Theft Autos and the Red Deads. But my son wanted it. It was only $15. I was like, you know what? I'll get it. I'll play through it first just to make sure it ain't as bad as I want it to be. And I'll let you go after it.
How old's your kid?
He's 14.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not like a little 8-year-old going like, I want to go play cowboy. No. We
Yeah,
can find a Lego game for you for that one.
Sure. That's fun.
So
Yeah.
you said something about movies. What movies have you been stuck on?
Oh boy, what's a movie that we've recently like yesterday we took the kids to go see um How to Train Your Dragon, the remake,
Oh boy.
which actually was really good. I like anything when it comes to movies. I just I like horror movies.
Yeah, I'm
I
a
like
huge horror movie
rom-com.
fan.
I watch rom-coms. Like I like kids movies, animated stuff. I'm a big fan of documentaries. Although to be honest, I really haven't seen any documentaries recently that have been fantastic. Anastasia, my wife, just pulled up. I think she's watching the trailer for the Yakuza game right now. She is.
Nice.
But I like documentaries. But one of the things that's kind of irritated me about documentaries recently is there have been a couple on like Netflix that are a 3 or 4 part series that
Mm-hmm.
like you go through it and it's a sort of a whodunit thing, and then at the end they're like, we still don't know who killed so and so, and it's like, you made me sit through all that. And
I've found the best
no
documentaries are the
finish.
ones on like HBO Max. Like the
Yeah,
one
like
they did for the Titan submersible that
ah,
imploded. That
is it
was
good?
phenomenal.
Okay, I saw that the other day.
And I'm the true crime doc guy, so I
Mhm.
like Netflix does that really well. Like the true crime docs.
Bro.
Yeah, but Netflix is that's the one I'm telling you. Like I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but there's like 3 or 4 that I've watched recently where it's a 3 part series that they haven't solved it yet, but they don't let you know that. You know, it's not like
Okay.
when you jump
Yes.
into it, they're like, this remains a mystery, but it's still interesting. It's like, okay, I'm gonna find out who did it. Who do you think did it? We don't know.
What the fuck?
Jesus. Oh. So you being a Wisconsin native, born and raised, I assume. What shaped your worldview and the way you approach not only your personal life but the wrestling business as well?
Mm. Well, you know, it's interesting. My worldview has completely shifted from the time that I was like, even when I was in WWE, my worldview has completely changed. I think I grew up in a boy, we're gonna get deep here. um, you know, I'm very conservative family. Um, my grandpa was dyed in the wool Republican. Um, and so, you know, I just sort of I sort of believed in that story that we've all been told about the United States. And then as I got to sit down with people from around the world, and even people from the U.S. here, minorities and stuff that I worked with, and have conversations with them, and then experience some things on my own. My worldview sort of shifted to, um, uh, you know, I guess the story that I was told when I was a little kid isn't. I no longer believe that to be
Right.
true. If that makes sense to you.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Completely
I
understand
think
that.
I'm right
I don't know
there
where
with
you
you.
guys sit on that. On you know which side of the fence you guys sit on there, but
Well, I've always considered myself more moderate, but the right has moved too far right, so I guess I'm
yeah.
center left. So so I'm not. I
You know,
don't necessarily love what's going on in the country right now.
I was always I always considered myself like fiscally conservative, but socially, like, do whatever you do, that makes you happy, as long as you're not harming anybody else, like I don't care. Like do you be happy?
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm socially liberal, but as you said, like it's just gone complete. It's just chaos right now. I don't know what I'm looking at. Sometimes it's not what um it's not what I recall being told about that as a kid. This story that was painted with love your neighbor and that kind of stuff. I don't see it anymore.
Yeah. No, we're right there with you. And we don't want to get too political, so we appreciate. No, we appreciate your openness, because you
Yeah.
and I are a lot alike in that way.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just don't want you to say anything that might turn some people off or anything. So
Yeah, and I am of the mindset that like some of my best friends in the world disagree with me politically. My my family disagrees with me politically. I still
Right.
love them. We
Yeah,
can
of course.
still,
Yeah, of
I
course.
literally can have a disagreement with you, and that's it.
100%. 100%. Yeah.
As far as that love thy neighbor stuff, that is becoming a very rare commodity. Luckily, at least in my little hometown down here in Florida, we still have that mentality for the most part. Now, obviously, there's going to be a few bad apples here and there that are trying to sour it for the rest of us, but in that closely knitted community,
Yeah,
it's still there. So there's still hope there.
that's good. I'm seeing it less and less, and it's kind of scary.
Yeah, it is unfortunate. I guess that's one of the good things being a small town boy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, so with your time in OVW, if you could go back and sit down and have a conversation with that Ken,
Mhm.
how would that conversation look?
Um, I think if I could go back and talk to myself before my run with WWE, I would just say like, don't take your foot off the gas, because things went from, I don't want to say a standstill, because it wasn't like I wasn't doing anything, but comparatively, it felt, looking back on it, looks like I was standing still to 100 miles an hour. And then I just sort of like, well, I made it. And I kind of feel like I stopped learning, I stopped evolving, I stopped working on myself. Um, so yeah, I guess, um, and my trainers said this to me my first day of wrestling camp. My trainer said, um, he said, be careful who you step on your way to the top, because you're going to bump into them on the way back down. And that was something that always stuck with me, and I've always believed in that, and I always tried to live that way. And I never tried to like get in a situation where I believed in my own bullshit too much, or what other people were saying about me. Um, but to some degree, you get to that point where I was getting pushed pretty hard, and it just, things kept happening for me, and I guess I just thought like, well, this will always happen. So I would just tell myself, keep working on yourself.
Right. Good advice. And I've had that same advice as far as going up and down the ladder, but it was a little more vulgar when it was given to me. The same toes that you step on going up the ladder are the same asses that you're going to kiss on the way down.
Yeah,
I like that.
very
And
similar.
it's very, very true.
Mhm.
Very true. So Dark here had a wrestling related question. I know I said I try to keep it more personal based, but
Mhm.
he put me in an arm bar, made me put this on here. He wants to know how the microphone gimmick originated.
So it was a writer from WWE, and I can never remember the guy's name. I asked Dreamer all the time, like, who's that guy again? And it was a WWE writer who ended up, the thing about WWE when I was there was it was it was a revolving door as far as writing team goes. It was just
Right.
out there because it's like one of the hardest jobs I think you can do in the world is be a WWE writer. It's 52 weeks a year.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, they were writing for Raw, SmackDown, pay-per-views. They had content for online for WWE.com, stuff like that.
Right.
So it was his idea because I was already doing I was introducing myself, which was when I was in high school, I used to announce basketball games,
Mm-hmm.
and I would when I was announcing players from our team, I would hit their last name twice.
Mm.
And it was something that worked well, and it was sort of over with the locals. It was even over with the opposing team family members. They'd come over and say like, "Oh, we really like your announcing. Keep doing that." Really funny when you say the last name twice. That's great. And then when I went to OVW, Paul Heyman told me one night, he's like, "Go out there, cut the ring announcer off." It was Dean Hill was his name. Cut him off, cuss him out, dress him down, and you do your own big grand introduction. And so I did it. And then just in the moment, I recalled, hey, I should say my last name twice. So I hit it, and I came through the curtain, and I remember everybody going like, "That was awesome. Just keep doing that. Keep saying your last name twice." And that was something that was like instantly sort of memorable. And I started doing that every week. 5 weeks later, I got the call up. Hey, they want to see you at SmackDown this week. They want you to do your old gimmick. And I did it. And literally the next week when I showed up, because I ended up getting hired on the spot. Basically, I got hired before I even went out and wrestled my match. I was in gorilla position. It was supposed to be a dark match against Funaki. He was going to super kick me for the finish. 1, 2, 3. And right as I'm doing some push-ups, getting warmed up, Dave Lagana walked up to me and he goes, "There's been a change. We have to come up with a finisher, because you're going over."
Mm-hmm.
Which means you're going to win the match in wrestle speak for those that don't know. You're going over. This is going to be a televised match. We're going to put it on Velocity, I think. And then stuck out his hand and it said, "Welcome aboard." And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Yep."
Nice.
And so I went out there and I did it. And then the next week I showed up at TV and the crew guys were yelling it. And some of the wrestlers, like walking on the hall and hearing Kane yell, "Kennedy!" He was Anderson at the time, like it was crazy to hear John Cena walking on the hall yelling it. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I remember that
caught
match
on.
with Funaki. I was actually watching that, I guess their version of Live when it was on Spike TV on Saturday nights. And I watched you and I saw you hit that Green Bay plunge for the first time. I was like, holy shit, he's dead. The fuck? I was like, this guy has something. This guy's going to be a main event guy.
Mm.
Now,
There you go.
granted, WWE kind of, at least in my opinion, fumbled that ball with you. I firmly believe you could have went multiple-time world champion. You could probably still be there today producing or something like that if they just, didn't diagnose you too soon.
Yeah.
A bunch of, it was like a bunch of different things sort of converged. It was a little of this and a little of that and a couple too many injuries. And, but I played a huge hand in that too myself. And I take credit for,
Right.
there's things that I could have and should have and would have done if I could sit down and talk to my younger self.
Right.
So, who were you spent a lot of time in both WWE and TNA? Who were your favorite people to work with in both of those companies?
Boy, that's the toughest question That's literally the toughest question I ever get asked. Because I was so fortunate in being able to work with so many amazing people.
Yeah.
Obviously, Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, I think is the best person I've ever stepped foot in the ring with.
Mm-hmm.
He's just so fun to work with, so easy. Jeff Hardy, Matt Hardy. I had some great matches with both of those guys. Bully Ray. Loved working with Sting, Kurt Angle. My favorite match that I've ever been a part of was my Steel Cage 2009 lockdown match with Kurt Angle.
I was there.
You were there?
I was there.
Was that St. Louis?
Yes.
St. Louis, I think, right? That I loved working with Kurt. Man, it's like the list. Batista was so good to me.
Mm-hmm.
He pretty much gave me my, he was my first pay-per-view match that I had with like a big name guy,
Right.
and was so giving to me, and just loved working with him.
Outstanding. So I wanted to ask you about something I saw on your social media earlier today. The 616 vignette that you put out
Yeah.
there. Is that
Well-
something special we can talk about?
Yeah, actually, it's funny that you bring that up because we can talk about that. I'm starting a podcast.
Oh, shit.
It's something that I've been kicking around for quite a while. What's that? It's something that I've really. I've had two different podcasts in the past, but the first one was actually we didn't talk about pro wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about all the stuff you're not supposed to talk about, politics, religion, because it's something that I'm really passionate about. Actually, is talking about that stuff. I didn't want to get into it here because I didn't know,
I mean, we would probably have a great conversation about that. So if it's something you want to broach on your show, I'd love to come on.
Or we can do it on Talking Shit.
But
definitely.
I'm passionate about those things as well from a outsider's perspective, because
Yep.
I'm not religious, but I know a lot of religious history and mythology, and
Me too.
obviously I'm neck deep in politics right now. So I mean, we could definitely have a great conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but that's basically what I'm, and we're gonna on this podcast. There have been things that I've talked about in the past that I have not gone in depth on, and I'm gonna really give my personal. It's nothing. I'm not bitter about anything. If I bring something up from the past and dive deep into it and what I thought people's intentions were, what my intentions were, whatever. It's not to be negative. It's not to open up old wounds. It's literally just to give my 2 cents on it, or my perspective. One thing that's never been given is my full, undivided opinion on certain matters. And it's not all going to be, it's not going to be stuff like that all the time. But like the first episode, it's going to be a banger. We're going to be talking about my time riding with Eddie Guerrero and my experiences working with him, and
Beautiful.
unfortunately having his last match on Earth here. Stuff like that. We're gonna get into it. So that's actually we're gonna drop. We don't have. I don't think we have a date yet, but that's the announcement that we have a YouTube channel, and it's actually my YouTube channel has already been. When I left WWE, I started a YouTube channel, and I did these videos. I think it was a series of like 10 videos of what am I going to do now that I'm not in WWE anymore, kind of thing. They were kind of funny. They were intended to be funny anyways. But we've got about, I think, 4,000 subscribers on there right now. Or I don't know if you call them subscribers or what you call them. What do you call YouTube?
Subscribers.
Subscribers, okay.
They're just
So we got about 4,000 already, and I haven't really utilized. I haven't posted anything in several years. So,
Awesome.
yeah.
Very good. Well, I think we only had you for a half an hour. Do you have to go, or are you?
No, I'm good to. We can keep going a little bit.
All right, all right.
Absolutely, I'm having fun.
So we're both workers,
Okay.
and well, I'm mostly retired now, but we were both workers. And when I
speak for yourself. I still am.
no, I said I'm mostly retired. He's not. I always grew up as I was a little stinger when I grew up, and I've heard that you have kind of a he was one of your favorites growing up as well. Is that correct?
You know, to be fair, I actually didn't watch wrestling growing up.
Oh,
That's crazy, right? But I did not start watching wrestling until 1997. I want to say I was 19 years old, and I started watching because a friend of mine said Steve Austin. There's this guy named Steve Austin who's tearing up the scene, and I started watching just to see what he would do. And then once I got into the business, I went back and I tried to watch as much stuff as possible. But when I was coming up, people would compare me to, hey, you kind of remind me of a young Sting. I remember BG James working down at TNA doing extra work.
Mm-hmm.
And BG, every time I'd go there, he'd be like, yeah, you remind me of a young Sting. So then the story there was when I actually got to work with him, and he was very, very giving and very open. He said, hey, if you have ideas, please give them to me. I'm down to do whatever. And I said, hey, what if I imitate you? What if I dressed up as Surfer Sting?
I remember
And then he was cool with it. And then the icing on the cake was he had all of his old gear. So he was like, I'll bring my old gear. You can wear that.
nice.
And then who better would know how to paint my face as Sting than Sting himself? So I would sit in the makeup chair every day, and Sting would apply the makeup to me. So I don't think there's anybody in history who's been able to say that they were, they had that happen to them. I'm the only guy.
Yeah. But I know I went as Sting too many times for Halloween when I was growing up.
That's great.
I had that face paint doing pretty well down.
Edit down the old school stuff or the crow Sting.
Oh no, I was a little stinger. I was I went a lot of times as the Great American Bash, the red, white, and blue face paint. Of course, I didn't have a blonde spike top, but
didn't matter.
The hell, whatever. So, are you any more matches in your future?
Yeah, I'm still performing. I had a match last weekend in Iowa. Still taking bookings. I'm available pretty much every other weekend, and I usually get that filled up every month throughout the year. So I run my wrestling school Monday through Thursday, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Every other weekend I have the kids, and when I don't have the kids, or if I do like a local booking or something that's a drive, I tend to sometimes I can bring the kids. Or so yeah, I definitely I'm still working.
Outstanding. Plug your school a little bit. I've been watching videos of some of the trainings up there. It's really impressive.
Yeah, we've been in operation since 2016. Opened our doors. It was Sean Davari and I started the place. So as of today, it's just me and my wife that are the owner operators. But we travel people from all walks of life. I feel that if you love this business and you want to contribute in some way, there's a job for you.
Yeah.
whether it's behind the scenes, whether it's reffing, promoting. I've had promoters actually come and take the course just so that they can learn the ins and outs of the business.
Mhm.
That's something that I think you guys as workers probably can attest to this, that like oftentimes a promoter comes up to you and hands you a scenario and says like, hey, you guys go out there and do this. And you're like, what the fuck? Like that doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Like, so having a knowledge of how we do what we do and why we do what we do
Mhm.
really, really helps out, I think, from a promoting standpoint.
It does.
Get people that come and want to be announcers, you know, and I've had some really, really good, solid students over the years. Some of our students have made it, you know, like uh, Darius Martin is our first graduate. Darius and Dante Martin
Wow.
Very
are
nice.
top flight in
Okay.
AEW. Julia Hart is one of our students. She was a former AEW women's champion, still working at AEW.
I'm a big fan of hers. Cool.
Tiffany Stratton trained with us. Gable Steveson trained with us. Get Cal Bloom, aka Von Wagner from NXT. He was one of our
Mhm.
students. And I have several students that have it. It's just a matter of time, I think. They got to be in the right place at the right time, and they got to get themselves out there. But I have several students that have the potential for sure. And then I have others that are gonna keep coming in. We run a new cycle. So our course is not a quick crash course. Usually
Mhm.
it's a 1 year program. And then that is just a 1 year, you make a 1 year commitment, 4 nights a week. You don't have to train 4 nights a week, right? But like you can do 2 nights a week, or you can do 4 nights a week. Um, and then after that, we allow people to stay around. So, you know, once you've paid your tuition and done your full year, then we run it like a gym. Basically, you pay a gym membership every month to stay on. And yeah, so we just we have a really, really great community that we've built up, and it's called the Academy School of Professional Wrestling. We're located in St. Paul, Minnesota. And if you are interested, if you know somebody that's interested, please give us a shout. My number is all over my Facebook and my Instagram. So I'm accessible. And if
And he
you
responds.
want,
Yeah.
what I do respond. Yeah, I do respond. You know, I did the interview with Chris Van Vliet, and this is like my 5th interview that I've done with Chris. And at the end of the interview, he says, all right, anything, you know, you want to plug your school? And I give out the number, and he's like, are you sure you want to do that? And I said, yeah, I'll give out the number, 507-722-2776. And he goes, all right, man, you're probably going to get a lot of messages. I was, bring them on. And then he said, should we have some sort of code word? And I said, sure, blue violet. And he dropped that show at like 4 a.m. on a Thursday, and by noon I already had 200 messages on my phone. Blue
Holy
violet,
shit.
blue violet, blue violet. And you know what? To be fair, they were all good. They were all positive. Like people
Awesome.
saying really cool stuff. Hey, just I saw your interview on Chris Van Vliet. You know, really enjoyed your work. By the way, blue violet. So
That's
Fun
great.
fact, that's how I got the number for you to give him a call. What's that interview?
great.
You didn't tell me about Blue Violet, though.
Actually, I did. You just don't listen.
Okay.
All right.
Hey, whatever. It worked. So, all right. Well, is there anything else you'd like to let everybody know about? We've held you about 15 minutes longer than we were supposed to.
No, it's all good. I appreciate you guys having me on, giving me a platform, allowing me to, you know, talk about. I've had a really good run. You know, if everything ends tomorrow, if I had to wrap it up tomorrow, I've had a really good run. I've really enjoyed my time, and this business has afforded me so many luxuries. Like I've traveled the world. I've been in the ring with. I'm friends with people that I truly looked up to in the business. I couldn't ask for anything more. So I'm really appreciative of the business and of the fans and people like yourselves. So,
Oh, we appreciate you coming on.
Yeah,
So
definitely appreciate the years of entertainment you gave us. Not just WWE, but TNA as well. I know personally, I was the biggest fan of you being in the Aces of Eights. I was like, he's going to be the one. He's going to be the one to fuck everything up, and I can't wait for it.
very nice. Well, definitely thank you for joining us.
thank you.
Sorry we had originally booked you on Father's Day, but we made it work.
That's okay.
Glad you had a good
I
Father's
it
Day.
was my bad for agreeing to do it on Father's Day. I didn't even think.
Yeah,
It's all good, brother.
Neither do we. Neither do we.
Appreciate
good.
you guys being flexible.
Yeah, absolutely. No problem at all. So, yeah. Got any more questions?
No, I think we're good, brother.
All right. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed as much as we did. For Draven Grimes and Ken Anderson, I'm Dark Cordz. This has been Heel Shit. Why do we call it that? Because bad guys do heel shit. Peace.